All right, guys, right triangle trig. We already know right triangle trig. So, toa, okay? Sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. Toa is opposite over adjacent. This is new. If you are given an angle in this form, do you see how it's 25 degrees and then 13 with the little, like, quotes? Something like that? You have to convert that first. That's just telling you that that little end point with the quotes on it, that's part of a degree. So do you see how I would go to change that? What did I do with the 13? I divided by 60 because there's 60 seconds, 60 minutes. So that's all you have to do. So if you're given an angle like this, 36 degrees, 45, what should you do with that 45? Okay, we're going to divide it by 60. So do that in your calculator. So I have 36 point. What's 45 divided by 60? 0.75. Okay, so it's 0.75 degrees. If you get a decimal that does not terminate, like in this case, right? So I have 57 degrees, so I have to change that. I have to say 57 point, well, what's 11 divided by 60? What is it? 183, something like that? Yeah. Just go to two decimal points. Do decimal places. So 57.83 and then degrees. And then you just use that in the problem. All right? Does that make sense? Oh, sorry. My bad. I forgot the one. I saw it, but I didn't. Thank you. So it's 1/8, yeah. Degrees. Right? All right, simple enough. So, if you're asked to solve this right triangle, guys, for all the unknown sides, there's a couple different things that you can do. First of all, you're going to solve for everything. How many degrees are in one whole triangle? 180. So let's figure out what angle B is. How would I do that? All right, so I have 90 plus 34.2, right? Equals what? No. 90 plus 34.2. 124.2. So how do I figure out what B is? Yep. Subtract that from 180. What do you guys get? 55.8 what? Degrees. All right. Easy enough. Now how do I figure out the sides? You can use whatever angle you want to. I'm going to use the angle that they gave me. I'm going to say this is my theta. So if I want to find angle A, and I was given side B, what is the relationship of side A to the angle A? No, it's opposite. Would be opposite from the angle that I'm looking at. You could do it from 55. You just got to put a different, it doesn't matter. I'm not telling you what you have to do. So if I use this and this, what trig function am I going to use? Tangent. So I'd say tangent 34.2 equals what over what? A over 19.4. Now, guys, I have my angle measures in degrees. So what should my calculator be in? Degrees. Make sure you pay attention to that. So if I cross multiply, I have A equals, and I just have 19.4 tangent 34.2. Do that in your calculator. 19.4 tangent 34.2. What do we get? What? 13.184. Okay, so if they tell you to round to one decimal place, it would be 13.2. If they tell you to round to two decimal places, it would be 13.18. If they tell you to round to the nearest whole number, it would be 13. Okay? So then if I was going to find the hypotenuse, again, you can use whatever angle you want. I'm going to stick with what they gave me of 34.2. And I want to find C. So given the angle that they gave me and the side that they gave me, what trig function would I use? Cosine, because it's adjacent over what? Hypotenuse. So I would say cosine 34.2 equals adjacent, which is 19.4, over my hypotenuse. Cross multiply, you get 19.4 equals C times cosine of 34.2, right? Divide both sides by 19.4. C equals what?
Divide both sides by cosine 34.2.
Oh my gosh. Thank you, Romero. What am I doing? Timeout. I don't know why I did that. Thank you, Romero. When I cross multiply, I get 19.4 equals C times cosine of 34.2. When I said it, I was like, that doesn't make sense. I want to get C by itself, right? So divide both sides by cosine 34.2. I'm kind of glad I made that mistake, though, because Lauren, what did you get in your calculator when I just did that? The wrong way? Or the right way? Did you do it the right way in your calculator?
No.
If you would have done it the wrong way, if you would have done cosine of 34.2 divided by 19.4, you would have gotten 0.0426. Does that make sense? That one side is 19 something, one side is 13 something, and the other one is 0.04. No, so right there you should have been like, oh, wait a second, that doesn't make sense. So when you do it the correct way, what'd you guys get? 23.45, something like that. Okay, that's fine. So guys, look. Your hypotenuse, there's a couple different ways you can check this. Your hypotenuse should be the longest side, correct? If I compare all three of these sides, I got 13 something, 19 something, 23 something. Does that make sense? Yeah. What can I do with those three sides to check to make sure that I'm right? Plug them into the Pythagorean theorem. Good. Okay. Good job, good job, good job. All right. You will have word problems on your quiz. If we're talking about right triangle trigonometry, guys, I'm not going to give you a picture, but what should you do? You should draw one. So I'm going to pretend like that picture's not there. And this is a quiz on right triangle trig, so I'm just going to write a right triangle. I'm just going to draw one. And I'm going to read. It says a safety regulation states that the maximum angle of elevation, what does that mean?
Height, up and down.
Okay. So an angle of elevation, are you on the ground looking up or are you on the top looking down?
On the ground looking up.
On the ground looking up. Good. So the angle of elevation for a rescue ladder is 72 degrees. So I already know that one of my angles is 90. So which one is the angle of elevation?
The one on the right.
The one on the right. So this is 72 degrees, correct? Okay. Then I'm going to read, it says the longest ladder is 110 feet. Well, think about what we're talking about. This is the building, right? That's the building. So if someone is in a burning building, in this picture, where is the ladder? The hypotenuse. This is my ladder. Does everybody understand that? Okay, you're gonna have a question that says like a boat. Is this far away from the dock? Well, where is the dock? Is it up in the air or is it from me to Jonathan? It's like the horizontal part. If I want to know the top of a cliff or the top of a building, then that would be the vertical. So in my triangle here, the ladder is how long? 110 feet? Okay. So the question is asking, what's the maximum safe rescue height? Guys, height is the vertical line. So you have to understand what they're asking for. They want to know how long or how tall the building can be. So given this angle and given the information, I want to know something about this side and this side. What trig function would I use? Because it's opposite over what? Good. So sine 72 equals opposite over hypotenuse. Questions? How do I solve this? Cross multiply. So x equals 110 times sine 72. You can put that right in your calculator just like that. X equals 104.616. In a question they're talking about length and stuff, they're probably going to ask for the nearest foot. So what would your answer be? 105 feet. Good. Very good. Now, if I was given information about two sides and I was asked for the angle, what would I put in my calculator? Would I use regular sine, cosine, tangent? No. You do arc, the arc sign. Second sign, so sine -1. Remember, if you're looking for an angle, it's the opposite. All right, let's scoot on over. We got two more and then we're done. Look at this picture. How many triangles do you see?
2.
How many? You see 2, okay? So you're going to have a question like this. There's no reason for you to freak out. You won't have a picture, so it's best if you draw one. But it says at the point 200 feet from the base of a building, the angle of elevation from the bottom of the smokestack is 35 degrees. And the angle of elevation to the top is 53 degrees. So do you see in this picture, here's the bottom of the smokestack. And here's the top of the smokestack. Do you see how the two different triangles are formed? So how do you think we would go about solving this to find out how long just that smokestack is? Okay, you're saying minus both of the degrees to figure out just how tall that is. That mathematically won't work out because the smokestack is not on the ground. It's not creating either of the angles of elevation or depression. It's another thing we could do. Think. Solve for the height of the building. Okay. Because how many triangles do you guys tell me there are?
2.
There's 2.
And divide by 2.
Not divide by 2. Think about it. There's 2 triangles. I have a littler triangle and a bigger triangle, right? The little triangle is at the bottom of the smokestack. The big triangle is at the top of it. Do both. And do what, Lauren? Subtract. Good. Very good. You're going to find the height from the ground to the bottom of the smokestack. You're going to find the height from the ground to the top of the smokestack. And then do what to those two answers? Subtract them. That'll give you the difference. Does that make sense? So how many triangles should you draw? 2. You should not try and do everything in one picture and be like, oh my gosh, I'm so confused. Right now, draw 2 right triangles. At a point 200 feet from the base of the building. The base of the building is which side? Is it the height or is it the horizontal piece? So each one of these is 200, correct? We didn't move our vantage point. We tilted our head up and down a little bit. So what's one of the angles that we're looking at? 53, okay. You could say this one's 53 degrees. That's to the top of the smokestack, right? And what's the other one? 35. In each case, guys, what are we trying to find? The height. In both cases. So all you're doing, I'm going to use 2 different letters. All you're doing is solving 2 triangles. Because one of the triangles gives you the height to the bottom of the smokestack. The other triangle gives you the height to the top. And then what do you do to those 2 numbers? Subtract. Very good. So given this information for triangle 1, we'll call this one triangle 1. How do I solve for x? Opposite and? This is opposite and adjacent. So what is that? So you would say tangent of what angle? Perfect. Equals? I'm going to say x over 200 just because my a's tend to start to look like numbers. So if I cross multiply, I have x equals 200 times the tangent of 53. $265.41. Okay, questions? All right, now we're going to go over here and we're going to solve second triangle. We'll call this triangle 2. How do I solve for, we'll say y. You can call it any letter you want. How do I solve for y? Same way. This is the opposite and this is the adjacent. So I'm going to say tangent 35 equals y over 200, correct? So y equals 200 times the tangent of 35. Do that in your calculator. 140.04. Okay, so one of these is to the top of the smokestack, one is to the bottom. What do I do with the two numbers? Subtract them. We're going to subtract the bigger one, 265.41 minus 140.04. And what do I get? 125.37 feet. So if you were asked to round to the nearest tenth, you would say 125.4. If you were asked to the nearest whole number, it'd be 125. Okay? That makes sense? That's not an incredibly difficult question, guys. You just have to think for a second. They're telling you two pieces of information. It's easier here when you have a picture, but they're not going to give you a picture. They, as in me, I didn't give you a picture. So you got to figure it out. All right, here, excuse me, it says a swimming pool is 20 meters long, 12 meters wide. Bottom of the pool is slanted that the water depth is 1.3 meters in the shallow end and 4 meters at the deep end, as shown in the figure. Find the angle of depression to the bottom of the pool. Oh my gosh. It's crazy hard. Why?
I like the other one.
You don't like it. First of all, if we're finding an angle, are we using our regular sine, cosine, tangent? Or are we using inverse? Inverse, okay? Do you see the triangle that they're talking about? I'm going to outline the triangle that they're talking about. Yes? So if I want to find the angle of depression, I'm going to just redraw it real quick. How long is the top here? This is 20 meters, right? How do I know the depth from the picture that they gave me and what they told us? It's what? Say that one more time. Okay, 2.7. You are correct. And I want to know this angle here. So given that information, looking at the picture, what are they asking me to do? Which trig function? Tangent. A lot of times it works out to be tangent, guys. But it's tangent of theta. You don't know what that angle of depression is. So it's tangent of theta equals what? 2.7. The opposite of 2.7 over what? 20. So if you did 2.7 divided by 20 in your calculator, you get a random number. I'm looking for the angle. I'm looking for theta. So in my calculator, what should I type in? Arctan, or second tangent. Tan negative 1. And then put in 2.7 divided by 20. What do you guys get? 7.7 what? Degrees. That should make sense. Think about a pool. You go in like one of those infinity pools, right? Like you're at the beach or whatever, or what are they called? Zero entry, whatever. You gradually walk in like you do at the beach. You don't just step in and it's 5 feet deep right away, right? So an angle of depression of about 7 or 8 degrees makes sense. An angle of depression, if you guys did it the wrong way and got 0.0003, doesn't make sense. So just make sure your answers make sense. Okay? That's it for this. That's all